What's good, everybody? This is Shaq with Sergio's Collection, back for video number 3 in our speedrunning opening an LGS series. It is July 13th. It's Monday, and we'll jump into it. So, first of all, when I created the series and started it on Saturday, I was just a little delayed on getting editing and all that up. So you'll probably see some of these videos not on the actual day that they came out, but for the first probably week or so, we'll probably double or triple up on videos until we catch up and we're actually in sync in line. So just keep that in mind as we go into these videos. So if you had questions in the initial videos that don't get answered for a while, just understand why. But also too, I think during the weekdays are going to be a lot slower just because of work and everything. But you can see you get a lot more done on Saturday and Sunday, even Fridays, than during the work week. So that's just a realization of my capacity and what I can get done. But moving into today, we placed our fixtures orders, went through everything from the slat walls to display cases, all the different components of that. So that took a while getting with the rep and just placing that order. Hopefully it'll be here next week, but worst comes to worst, it's here that last week before we open and we can get it all installed and get everything on the shelves. But pulling for it to be here sometime next week so we can have a little bit more time to put all that together. What else do we do? Talk with the landlord, just gave him the lowdown and everything that needs to be worked on, asked a lot of different questions, still need some things clarified, so more to come on that for me. We also went to Costco and got upgraded our membership to a business. Yeah, we upgraded that. That's where we'll go for a lot of our supplies as well as our food and drinks that we order. So, and we also upgraded to executive membership as well. It took a little while. There was a long line, but got that done today after work. And then just did a couple other things. Had a contractor in here. We're looking at stuff for the doors. So the back room, it's actually right now not really a back room. It's just open walkway, but we're going to put a back door there, as well as we need to just beef up security on the back door that leads outside. So just measuring and doing some stuff there. And then one thing I noticed about the space, just the AC. It's really hot in here. When I get in, of course, AC's off. We're in Texas, it's hot, but it does take a while for it to kind of get to that ideal temperature. So at some point, we'll have to start just setting schedules to where, an hour or so before I come into the store, we'll have AC down. So that way, when we get to the store, it's cool. I'm the only one in here right now, and it's extremely hot. So imagine, you have 30 people in here playing. So really want to get that lined up once I do that. But that's kind of it for the store. I was only here for a little bit, really was running an errand, doing the Costco thing and other stuff for today. I'll probably go home and do a few more things on my computer, but for the store, it's pretty much it. I'm about to head out after this. Moving on to kind of some of the business learnings today, I think one thing I want to talk about is the lease. That's kind of why we're doing the speed run. It took a little while to get going. So somehow I was able to negotiate 9 months of reduced no base rent. You just have to pay just kind of the OPEX rent. So because of that, they were a little more stricter and just not willing to budge on a lot of the different things in our lease. And so we had several rounds of redlining that took probably 3 to 4 weeks to get that final. And then at the end of the day, some of the things that were, contention points, we just decided, hey, we can live with this. But yeah, I would say, use all the different levers you can. Our lever was, the length over the lease, and as well as the space was vacant for a while, so we knew we had some negotiating power. The type of store we are, and all the types of stores that are around us. There's a brewery, there's a Pilates studio, there's a pickleball kingdom. There's MMA gym, studio for kids. There's a digital golf simulation that's coming. So there's a lot of gaming as well as fitness and fun, and there's the brewery. And so I think both for us and them in terms of just helping each other. So I do think they really wanted us in the space, and so they're willing to negotiate on the base rent. My commercial real estate guy said, "Hey, this is probably the most I've ever seen ever. No one ever does that." So because of that, I was willing to be a little bit more malleable on just some of the terms in the lease. So but make sure you never sign anything that you're not willing to commit for and you're not ready and you don't have the funding and the financing for. So that's kind of the biggest thing. What happens if you open and no one shows up for the first year, right? Obviously, probably poor planning if that happens. But at the same time, like you have to be ready and willing. And thankfully, we've mitigated a little bit of that. One, I've been in business 7 years. I have a pretty big online presence already. And we have a lot of sales online. So if we do have slower months in the store, we can make up that through our online business. And then also our rent drastically decreased for the first 9 months, basically down to almost nothing. And so that also gives us a little bit of leeway to get to where we need to grow in order for this to work. And then moving on to financing, I think that's always what people want to know: how to finance this. Of course, you have your typical your own money. You have your day job, or you have some money saved up. You have take out business loans. Typically, if you're just opening up, you're not going to be able to qualify for a lot of business loans. Credit cards, some things you won't even be able to purchase through the credit card because you need ACH, or you need just they want bank accounts versus credit. And even if you have credit, most of the different vendors and things are going to charge you a fee on top of that. So, and there's a lot of different ways, and there's a lot of other videos online that cover all the different financing. But we use a combination for me, my own money, and some borrowed money at a pretty good interest rate. I've been around for 7 years, like I said, have really good credit, have a really good business history of paying it back, as well as my kind of income and the profits from like just a day job and just the surplus could cover kind of the rent and loan payment terms. And so you just think about it, your decisions, nothing is going to be zero risk. I know a lot of people say, oh, most businesses fail. Sure, a lot of businesses fail, but there are successful ones too. So there is risk, calculated risk in this, and things could always blow up. You always have a plan, but you just have to have the confidence going in to believe in it, but also have the kind of conviction and also the history. So history of kind of your work ethic and your hard work, but also the history of what you've seen in the hobby and things like that. So it's not a decision to take lightly. One, starting LGS, but then two, taking any financing from any resource at all, unless you're confident you can pay it back with different methods and ways. And so, yeah, that's kind of the financing piece. Happy to answer any questions, additional questions, thoughts, concerns. But I would say in 2026, it's not cheap to open LGS, just in terms of fixtures and things like that. You can easily run fixtures, tables, and all that. You can easily run 15K plus, depending on what it was. Then, of course, you got distributors and you got your product. Thankfully, we had some inventory beforehand. And then you have all the other stuff: your first month's rent, and then your security deposit, and then any other kind of payments you have to pay up front. And then insurance, utilities. There's a lot of different things that kind of add up. Everybody wants a piece of you once you're a small business owner. So just something to keep in mind of. And then also, you also want some surplus after the fact. So when you're open, you want to be able to run at least for 6 months, ideally with, let's say, no customers come in. You're able to pay all your bills, at least all your fixed ones. Of course, your variable ones, if you don't have people inside, you're not going to incur credit card fees. You're not going to incur as much, different fees. And so that's just something to think about. I would say put yourself in a good financial situation before you decide to do that. I would say I enjoy business. I love business. I also love trading cards and love games. But like, if you don't love business, because you're not the customer, right? You're the business owner. So a lot of my days are spent in admin, payroll, the numbers, the finances, and that stuff that I nerd out about. So you have to really love that part. And then the business side, and then the game side of it, it's an added bonus that you get to sit there and, you know, play games, or you get to sit there and talk to customers. But really, it's like, hey, can you run a good business? Can you balance the budget? Can you do all those things? Otherwise, you're going to be out of business pretty quickly. So yeah, start small. Start with, start on eBay like I did, or start with TCG Player. Start in Facebook groups, whatever it takes to kind of build it up to get there. And then also, if you're really interested in starting a game store, go work at another game store. I remember when I first got back into the hobby, like for the first year and a half, I would go to a game store frequently every week. And then sometimes I would help him out in the game store, and I learned a lot. At one point, he was like, hey, are you interested in buying it? At that time, I was not interested in buying it. But so I got some hands-on experience that learning from him and learning about the store. They did a lot of sports cards, but they also did some trading cards and things like that. And as the market picked up, they did a lot more of that. So that's kind of it for business learnings. Feel free to drop any comments or questions you have, and I'll answer them in a later video, or I'll make a separate video after the series is over and do a deep dive in whatever that topic is, and help out there. So next steps, we'll talk about next steps. We'll jump into tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be heavy on the laptop day. So really it's around payroll, setting up the payroll system from W-2. I have one now already, but I'm only using 1099 employees. And so I need to set that up, set up background checks, start working on our job descriptions. I'm going to be hiring a couple people. I've already identified our first person, and I'm hiring about 2 more people part-time, working different shifts. I'll be here every day on shift, but, not everyone's going to be able to do that. So we'll have probably 3 people doing that. So working on that tomorrow, as well as setting up a point of sale system. So we're going with Shadow POS. Shout out to them. Learned a lot from them. A lot of them are from Binder POS, so they have a lot of great experience. So we're going to onboard with them this week. So I'll get that paid and set up tomorrow, and then also work on my payment processing tomorrow. So and then some other stuff to get done. I have like I said, every day there's a massive checklist, and it feels like it's getting longer and longer. But we're gonna make it happen. We got about 18 days left. We're gonna make it happen. Like I said, sorry guys, the light keeps running out every couple of minutes. It's on the sensor, but anyways, yeah. So that's kind of tomorrow. Still excited about everything. We're on the right track. It is a lot of work. Today I was feeling a little under the weather earlier, but feeling a lot better now. But I know it's going to be a pretty much a grind to get finished, and we may not get every single thing we need done for the store. And we'll do our grand opening on that Saturday, and then we'll have that Sunday and then a Monday off. So that way it gives us some time to kind of review the notes and see what went well and what didn't go well. And then one other thing I wanted to cover, just really why I did the video. It was more for myself initially. A lot of my friends over the years have done a lot with business. I've helped a lot of people grow their own business. I have a lot of people in their careers and just different things like that from my own experience. And a lot of times people tell me, hey, you should start creating content and posting online. I'm not really one to be on a camera. I really don't want to hear my voice, anything like that. And so, for me, it was more of a, hey, can you do this? Can you commit to this for 21 days as you get the store open? It's also going to be a way that I can look back and see my progress and the things that I've been able to do in those 21 days, as well as future, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, if this is successful, we can look back and say, hey, we remember when we got our start and we launched all this in 21 days. And then finally, if I can help one other person, I think that's, valuable for me. I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube since I've joined the hobby, and a lot of them have been helpful. And so, I feel like we're all lift each other up, and we all help each other, and we all learn from each other. And so if one person can learn from me, I consider that a win. So, yeah, that's all I got for today. And I'm about to go eat and work on some stuff on the computer. But y'all have a good night. See y'all tomorrow. Peace.